Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Tuesday, November 30th, 2021, and it's bright and sunny, like right in my face. Why? Because it's 10 a.m. Eastern. I normally do my live teachings at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, but today I've got a ministry conflict, so decided to come on early. And so those of you that are not used to seeing me, you may be saying, what is Nelson Schutman doing live? So, but I do see Tina Kirkpatrick on Facebook here, and see some other people that are popping on YouTube. And in the Atlanta, Georgia area, temperatures today is supposed to be, I think, 63 degrees. Another perfect sunshiny day with no humidity, very low humidity. I think it's like 24%. Actually have like warnings for fire danger because it's so dry. And I will be spending some time in the mountains of North Georgia over the next 3 days, so I won't be doing any lives Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. So it won't be till December the 6th, the Monday, before I do my next one. So anyway, good news, my Purdue Boilermakers, see my P, although it's the opposite direction on Facebook. I think it's correct on YouTube. But Purdue, or the Purdue Boilermakers out of West Lafayette, Indiana, are ranked number 2 in the nation in America in basketball. And it's the last time they were ranked number 2 is in like 1988, when I was at Purdue University as a little kid. 67, I was 21 years old. 21 years old, the last time Purdue was ranked this high, number 2. And Duke is number 1. So if Duke ends up losing and Purdue continues to win, then Purdue will overtake them and be number 1 in the country. So right now they can play with a chip on their shoulders. Also, happy #Giving Tuesday. I did make some posts. If people want to make donations, again, very thankful. It's like more than 50% of the revenue for Restored to Freedom is through donations from people that sow into the ministry. Most of them is because there's been some obviously positive things that have happened in their lives from watching the ministry. Either they themselves have personally been having a much more peace, much more fruit of the Spirit, and or oftentimes their relationship that they have can also be much improved if both husbands and wives choose to get healed and delivered. And I understand that we all have free wills, and sometimes the spouse chooses not to be honest and look in the mirror at themselves, like we talked about yesterday. And in those cases, their life situations won't get better, not until they humble themselves and admit the truth and pursue being healed and delivered. So, but we explain it as much as we can explicitly to understand it for people, and understand that just because you go to church does not mean that you are saved. And that's a hardship for a lot of people. A lot of people think that, okay, well, I go to church, I've been in church my whole life. But if they continue to struggle with a lot of the fleshly desires, fleshly sins, and pursuing a lifestyle that is causing them to blame their spouse and never look in the mirror at themselves, which is what the demons want us to do, and believe that they could not be affected or impacted by demonic spirits, then that will cause the demons to have legal rights and torment them, and then they'll end up going off on their spouse and their kids and hurting them. And there's a lot of people in the church that do that. That's what Matthew 7:15 through 23 explains all of that. If you don't have the good fruit of the Spirit to show for it, that's how you know when you've been healed and delivered. You're no longer going to trigger and go off on people and treat them badly. You will actually love people and have peace and be gentle and have self-control, the fruit of the Spirit in Galatians. Galatians 5:16 through 26 explains and talks about the fruit of the flesh and the fruit of the Spirit. So anyway, if you have had any positive impact, you want to make donations, you can. restoredtofreedom.com/donations, and it is tax deductible in the United States here. So we appreciate any and all donations. When I used to work in corporate, I made lots of money. I made more in one of the years I worked than I have ever seen total in our ministry for the entire year. So walked away from corporate America in order to help people around the world to get healed and delivered and save their lives and see good fruit of the Spirit, and then save their marriages, as long as both husbands and wives pursue. So, all right, Breakthrough Tour, December 14th. I'll be on Atlanta Live TV, Channel 57 in Atlanta, Georgia, talking about my new book, Freedom from Soul Wounds and Demons. And I did do a post a couple of days ago about writing a review of the book. I think we've had 10 reviews. We've actually had, I think, 15 or 16, but Amazon is not approved of at least 5, and don't like that when that happens. When people buy the book and they read it, they should be able to write a review. But I know that when I came out with Restored to Freedom, that they didn't approve of like 30 reviews because they said they were too good to be true, the results of people's lives changing so dramatically. So anyways, we just pray that Amazon allows your reviews. For those of you, we did have one yesterday, but we've had several that have come forward saying, I posted this and they won't allow it to be going through. And so anyways, maybe try and post it again. But I appreciate any and all posts on there. All right, then December 26th, Worldwide Deliverance Session. Again, that's free. We do as much as we can for free because we understand that people that have been hurt and wounded, it is a hardship. When I do a session, I do charge for the session only because it takes time out of my busy schedule to do it, and it is worth it. Hopefully, people that have had the sessions, I do 5 or 6 a week, and we've had very positive results from those. But we also do a lot of free stuff. So Restored to Freedom understands, and the people that have watched the ministry over the years have seen a lot of tremendous breakthroughs in their lives, which are great. We love that. But we have a worldwide deliverance session that is free December the 26th, the day after Christmas, Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's on Facebook and YouTube, so people can watch that and share it, and watch it live or watch it later. Then January the 15th, I will be in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Atlanta Marriott Perimeter Center, doing a breakthrough event. January 29th in Birmingham, Alabama, Marriott Birmingham. January 30th, Worldwide Deliverance Session. February the 19th, Courtyard by Marriott in Orlando, Florida. Lake Mary, which is north of Orlando. February 27th, Worldwide Deliverance Session. And March the 5th, the Residence Inn at Opryland in Nashville, Tennessee, on the north side. It's a brand new hotel. And I'll be adding some more. I talked to a lady from Dallas, Texas, and I will get that scheduled probably here in the next couple days, looking at coming there in March. And I'll probably spending a couple of weeks in March in Texas, going to the I don't know, DFW, Houston, San Antonio, Waco areas. So, all right, topic of the day is managing toxic family during the holidays. And by the way, it is really hard to see the tint on my glasses. I know that you can see it, but it's not as dark as it used to be. It's like I have to get glasses, or I normally get glasses maybe every 2 years or 3 years. Fortunately, it's not changed my vision for the last, 6 years. But the tint, it wears out apparently. Every time I've had my glasses tinted, and then after like 2 or 3 years, it's not as dark as it used to be. So anyway, trying to see those. Probably some new people on here too, because I normally don't go live at 10 a.m. Eastern. So anyway, welcome. So managing toxic family during the holidays. So how many of us, probably all, have some toxic family members that aren't healed and delivered? Most people in their families have that. You normally have at least one that oftentimes can be a loose cannon that can say things and do things to hurt you or hurt other people. Could be your father, could be your mother, could be a sibling, could be an uncle, an aunt, grandparent, could be your sister-in-law, father-in-law. And how does it feel, of course, when you're around a person and they make a comment that hurts you? Well, it makes you not happy, obviously. And what that leads to typically is strife. If you stand up for yourself against a person, that's making a comment that is uncalled for, then that person will tend to take an offense. I'll describe, people that struggle with the Jezebel spirit are more controlling, more demanding, more prideful. They will offend you by what they say all the time as much as they can. They try to provoke you to get angry. And then if you do retaliate and say some things maybe that are truthful to them, then they take an offense at the drop of a hat. So it's impossible to get along with some people. Jesus could not get along with the Pharisees and the scribes. They had demons. So if you are healed and delivered, you will not be able to get along with many people that have not been healed and delivered themselves. So you have a high chance of strife, fighting, and arguing. So what do you do if those people that tend to provoke you end up inviting you to come on over, let's get along, let's have a family get together for the holidays, and that if you go over to their place, or they're going to be there at the place you're going to, that they're going to probably say something, could be in private, because there's people that oftentimes have Jezebel that will say things in private to hurt you, or they may cut their eyes at you, like they were angry at you, like they hate you, and you can sense it if you have any discernment whatsoever. Or they may say it in front of the whole group of people to hurt you and to condemn you. And how does it feel? It doesn't feel good whatsoever. Is it healthy to be around people like that? No, absolutely not. Jesus sure did not want to be around people like that. The Pharisees and the scribes were the last place he wanted to go. He wanted to get away from them. Right? Right. Absolutely. Positively. So, what do you do when you're healed and delivered, but your various family members are not? What if you have a family member who wants to hurt you with their words and invites you to come see them over the holidays? How do you deal with it when a family member invites you to come to their event, but they do not like you, probably hate you, and what do you do with them when they make negative comments to you or other negative manifestations? So if you choose, let's say that they invite you to come over, and you just I really don't want to be around that person. So if you choose to tell them that I've got other plans, really don't want to be, if you say I don't want to be around you because you're mean, they're not going to like that. They'll probably go off on you on the phone or text. So you try to make an excuse. Say, well, I'm busy doing something else where I'm going to have peace instead of strife. But if it's just to say that you just had something come up and you really can't get together with them, then you probably know they'll say some things about you to the other family members. They may gossip about you. They may lie about you, and that doesn't feel good either. So what do? What's the solution to all that? I'm going to read Matthew 10:34 through 39. It says, "Do not think," this is Jesus speaking, "that I came to bring peace on earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's enemies will be those of his own household." So again, could be your sister, your sister-in-law, your brother, your brother-in-law, your aunt, your uncle, your grandparents. If you choose to serve Jesus and they don't, and they're not living a life or a lifestyle that's conducive to submitting themselves to Jesus, then they will manifest on you. And if you are not healed completely yourself, then it's going to hurt, and you'll probably retaliate and say something back in anger. You may try and bite your tongue for a little while, but normally they'll continue on to try to provoke you to getting angry. Why? Because they have a lot of demonic spirits. And that is the truth. All right. So, let me read on. It says, "He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me." So some of you are going to have to choose who you're going to serve, Jesus or the demons in a relative. Are you going to submit to the demonic spirits in someone? I hope not. A lot of the churches, when they preach, will say, well, you need to get along with your family members. Well, did Jesus get along with the Pharisees and scribes? Absolutely, he did not. And he was right 100%. So you can be right 100% in God's eyes and choose to stay away from them and avoid them because they're toxic. They're not healthy. They're demonic. Demonic people will manifest and say things to hurt you. They have no tact. They will provoke. They are selfish. They are wounded. They have demons. They will never admit it, and they're prideful and they're arrogant. So, 2 Timothy 2:20-26 says, "But in a great house there are not only vessels of gold and silver, but also of wood and clay, some for honor and some for dishonor. Therefore, if anyone cleanses himself from the latter, he will be a vessel for honor, sanctified and useful for the master, prepared for every good work." Those are people that are healed and delivered. They can be used for the Lord. But those that are not healed and delivered, that are your family member in your house, what does it say about them? It says, "Flee also youthful lusts, but pursue righteousness, faith, love, peace with those who call on the Lord out of a pure heart. But avoid means stay away from. Avoid foolish and ignorant disputes," which is what people with demons want to do. They want to provoke you to anger. Before I got delivered, I'll be honest, I would oftentimes, or sometimes, do that to my brother or brothers, and try to see if I could get them to be angry. Why? Because it brought a level of satisfaction that I could control. That was before I got delivered. People look at me now like, "What? You would do that?" I'm like, "Yeah, sorry, wasn't delivered yet." So if you have family members that aren't delivered from their demons, they will try to provoke you to getting angry, to get a rise out of you, because that allows them to feel a satisfaction level of controlling you. So the best thing you can do, obviously, is not say a word back, not respond. And if you're not strong enough to do that, then it's probably best to stay away from them. And maybe if they come into the room with you, as you walk out of that room. Or maybe if they try to hunt you down, is just walk outside or not even be around them altogether. Okay, let me go on. "But avoid foolish and ignorant disputes, knowing that they generate strife. And the servant of the Lord must not quarrel," must not strive and argue, "but be gentle to all, able to teach, patient, in humility, correcting those who are in opposition." So, those who are not healed and delivered yet will be your opposition. And again, they could be your brother, your sister-in-law, your father, one of your relatives. If they're not healed and delivered, they will oftentimes have a scapegoat in the family that is very godly, that's very loving, that they'll try to accuse of not being able to get along. Well, it's because the Jesus in that person ends up being picked on by the demons in those who aren't delivered. And so they will accuse the person who has been healed and who has been delivered as not being able to get along. And they can get along with those who are like-minded, who are godly like Jesus. Jesus couldn't get along with those who had demons. Why? Because they had demons. You have to submit to their demons. You have to bow down to them. You have to agree with everything that they say and want you to do. Well, are we to do that as a Christian? No, absolutely not. All right, let me go on. It's really hard to read this. Okay. "Avoid foolish and ignorant disputes, knowing that they generate strife, and a servant of the Lord must not quarrel, but be gentle to all, able to teach, patient in humility, correcting those who are in opposition, if God perhaps will grant them repentance, so that they may know the truth and that they may come to their senses and escape the snare of the devil, having been taken captive by him to do his will." So there's many, many, many people who are prideful. They've been hurt. They've been wounded. When they're growing up, they could have been touched sexually. They could have been hurt by their father, their mother, myriad of people. A majority of people in the church are not healed and delivered. The majority of the people outside the church have not been healed and delivered, although there are some people that are not in the church that are nicer than those who are in the church. They have more of a good heart, more of the fruit of the Spirit. So how interesting is that? So anyways, what do you do if you're invited to come over and there's going to be some strife? Isn't it wise to try to avoid that? I mean, that's what the Bible just said there, is to avoid people that are going to cause strife and argument. So it's a hard decision, I know, because you probably have some family members that you want to be around that you maybe miss. And it may be that if you are wanting to have in fact, I remember this, I'll say this, my mother had a mother that was not healed and delivered, operated in the Jezebel spirit, was very controlling, and I couldn't understand it at the time, but now I look back, I'm like, oh my gosh, totally, she had that. And my mom's dad was an Ahab, a very loving guy, had a good sense of humor, but had to bow down to what he called his wife mother at times, mother. And I'm like, mother? It's not your mother, that's your wife. She's like a little 5 foot tall thing, and he's like 6'2". But he wanted to keep the peace. And a lot of us that have the Ahab spirit want to keep the peace. But he would call her mother. And I remember my mom said that her mother would do things that would purposefully cause her to be hurt. So she didn't want to be around her. And her mom wanted to control her, make her do what she wanted. And so literally she actually wanted her mother wanted to put a wedge between her brother and her. Wanted to put a wedge between her and her father. She was jealous of the relationship that my mom had with with my grandmother's husband, with my mom's dad. So it wasn't healthy. My mom had a good relationship with the dad, but she would not be able to talk to him on the phone because her mother would always get on the phone at the same time and listen in to the conversation. She was somewhat paranoid, thinking that they were always talking about her, and they weren't. So it really hurt her because she's like, I wanted to talk to my dad a lot more. And my grandpa ended up dying of a stroke. It was sad. And he did. He laid down his life for his wife. And she was not easy to get along with whatsoever. And I was very sad. But people who have demonic spirits want to control the other people. And they oftentimes, if maybe they're married to your sister, or they're married to your brother, and they will put a wedge between, so you cannot have oftentimes private conversations or get together with them. And they want to control because they're afraid of the truth coming out about how they actually treat them behind closed doors. So I want to let everyone know that it is perfectly, and the Lord says this, it is perfectly okay to keep your distance from family and or family members if you know that they're going to cause strife and hurt you or hurt your children, because oftentimes they'll say things to your own children that will hurt them and wound them. So it's best to protect them from those who are wounders, who are more bullyish. They want to control, they want to manipulate. And it's the truth, and it's hard. When you have family members that you love and you want to be around them, and they're easy to get along with, what do you do when you have one person or a couple of people that will gang up against you? Maybe it may be challenging, but maybe you have a private get-together with the people that are healthy, and don't invite the ones that are not healthy. And of course, they normally will find out about it and take an offense and poor pitiful me and play the victim. But it's a challenge, If you're strong enough and you can handle it, and you're mostly healed and delivered yourself, then you can normally be around people that may say something, and you can bite your tongue so that you can get along. But if you're not healed of your wounds and delivered from your own demons, then I would highly recommend to stay away completely from those people. You take a chance. Are you willing to go? It's the same thing applies obviously throughout the year, but you'll see this especially at the holiday season between Thanksgiving and New Year's, is people will get together, words will be spoken, people will be hurt, people will be wounded, And then oftentimes it's the same person or persons that continue. Maybe make them aware of this Christmas season and buy them my latest book, Freedom from Soul Wounds and Demons. Give that to them and say, here, read this. And that will help them understand the correlation between when they were wounded, when they were growing up, and the demons that they're struggling with now. They're the ones that can't get along with people. They're the ones that if you don't do what they want, which is not healthy and not godly, will, unfortunately, they won't receive it. They're the ones that need to be delivered. They oftentimes convince those that they're in the closest relationships with and try to brainwash them, try to convince that they are really good. They're not the bad ones, they're the good ones, and that you're the ones that are bad because you can't get along with me. When in reality, they can't get along with anyone. We see that all the time with people that struggle with the spirits of Jezebel and Leviathan, and they need healed, get their wounds healed. Again, I do sessions with people throughout the week, every week, and I see significant improvements within an hour. And again, it's a process. It starts. Sometimes people have followed the ministry for years and have not needed any personal sessions. Why? Because they've picked up on this. They've gotten this revelation into their spirit, and they've forgiven people who have hurt them and largely have been freed so that they can actually have peace, be at peace and love and joy. But people have a free will. You cannot make a person, you can't override their free will. You can't fast enough, pray enough in tongues, command and rebuke the demons to leave from your spouse. If they're an adult, they have legal rights to keep their anger and their bitterness. You cannot override that. But we do our best we can at our ministry to help speak the truth and get people healed and delivered. So, I guess that's my recommendations. So don't feel guilty. I'll say this, is people that will oftentimes control, manipulate, will invite you with the goal of treating you badly at their family get-together. And then if you say no and are healthily standing up for yourself, then they will try to gossip about you, blame you, or play the victim. Oh, poor me, they don't want to come around. And it's because they won't own the truth about how they behave. So don't fall for them condemning you, trying to put a guilt trip on you. It's the biggest trick in the bag of people that struggle with demonic spirits, is try to put the guilt trip on you and try to act like they're a little innocent victim when they're not. So, alrighty, I guess that's it. Again, I got some things to do, and then I will be doing some hiking in the North Georgia mountains on tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then I'll be back doing my normal teachings on December the 6th for next week as we wind down the year. This was actually the greatest year in the history of Restored to Freedom as far as affecting and impacting positively the most lives, and it's just been a great year, and excited to see what God's going to do in 2022. In fact, I was watching a Mario Murillo video, I guess it was yesterday, and he was talking about how repentance is what the Lord is wanting people to do, is pursuing repentance. And I always say that you really can't have revival. You can't have it unless you do repent and get right with the Lord. You forgive people who hurt you, you're honest with how you treat people, and you humble yourself before the Lord. And then you can have peace and the fruit of the Spirit, and it's a good thing, and you have a good life. Alrighty, I will let everyone go, and see you on Facebook and YouTube next Monday. Alright, see you.